everyone, and welcome to this episode of Writers Infusion. I'm your host, Susan. I am here with Julie, Ed, Jen, and Dave, and we are here today to critique an excerpt from a literary novel. It's titled Helium 3 by Marilyn Delson. Marilyn is from New York. The summary of this story is, if you were an alien, marooned on Earth, how would you fit in? By concealment, through heroism and service, mind control, or superior technology? What if you were falling in love with the very human who could best destroy you?
Dun, dun,
dun.
That's a great summary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Chapter 1, Polar Vortex. Was it cabin fever that gave me the bright idea to meet a complete stranger for afternoon coffee, or something else? After 2 months of hunkering down under the polar vortex, not only was my skin dry and pasty, but I had a less than favorable view of the male race. Suddenly, the anti-lock brakes engaged on a patch of black ice at the 8th curve on Cedarville Road. The car started to skid into a ditch, which ran alongside a swiftly flowing stream, now frozen. The icy corkscrew of blacktop, the road I feared the most but can't escape if I need to get anywhere, has exactly 13 switchbacks. Lucky number 13. I was born on Friday the 13th. By local legend, the ghosts of its victims manifest on certain foggy nights. I jolted into survival mode and turned the wheel to the left slowly and managed to get back on the road, which eventually straightened and leveled off. The zigzagging wooded ravine it was built on, with its hulking evergreens leaning in on both sides and darkening the sky, finally yielded to the uniform streets of suburbia. Idiot, I mumbled, realizing I've succumbed yet again to a few emails from some guy. But at least this time I did the choosing from his dating service video. I arrived at my destination, shaken, feeling entitled to a large cup of coffee. It was one of the better national chains, although I wasn't pleased when it drove our mom-and-pop version out of business. I did a quick appearance check in the rearview mirror and thought he'd probably like what he saw, despite the over-moisturized, pasty skin. Men liked full red lips, large brown eyes, prominent cheekbones, and thick eyebrows framing a woman's face, or so I was told. I wore riding boots and a mannish Harris tweed jacket because I like to dress this way and have a theory that it puts men at ease when women dress like them. I ran my fingers through my longish, dirty blonde hair, trying to pump up its defeated lack of bounce before heading into the lion's den. The winter air was sharp as I inhaled, like breathing in tiny shards of glass mixed with idling car exhaust. The chain was full of weekenders, pert blonde cheerleaders and gawky basketball players in post-game celebration, and noisy families glad to be sprung from the all-too-familiar walls of home in deep winter. The order line was long, but I needed that mug of Joe. I spied a lone table in the back, dirty with dishes, but unoccupied, and I sank into a chair with my coffee mug. The first heavenly sip jolted my memory about our agreed-upon sign, and I searched for the silk rose in my tote bag. But before I could even place it on the table, he was standing next to me. "Are you Jess?" he asked, eyeing me with an appreciative smile. His eyes were so blue, much more intense than in his video. I felt my cheeks flush, hoping he wouldn't notice. "Yes, Jessamine Sandman." I extended my hand to shake his. "But people call me Jess. How did you know it was me, without the flower?" I wasn't wrapped up in all this winter gear when I made the video. True. I just searched for the most interesting woman in the room and found you. I'm Eddie, by the way. After the ingratiating compliment, he looked me over in that universal male way which caused me to blush again. Damn. Helium 3, Fusion 3. How clever of you, I laughed. And what a good liar you are. Have a seat. I will. Just want to get some coffee. Yours smells delicious. He scooped up the dirty dishes and trudged toward the front in his boots, which left a trail of melting snow. He was tall, handsome, with a kind of European vibe, with thick bluish-black hair and eyes which seemed to take a reading of me as he spoke, kind of like an instant-read thermometer. He returned with a tray holding a mug and 2 cherry-filled pastries. I accepted the offering without the usual protestations about my diet. I almost slid off the road today. This pastry could be my last. "How was your drive here?" I asked, after the dishes were settled. "I almost slid off the road a couple of times." "Me too. We lucked out." Our eyes locked, and I felt a jolt. Yes, living is preferable to dying, especially when I know for a fact they don't serve pastries in heaven, he said with a chuckle, causing those blue eyes to crinkle at the edges. What makes you think I'm ending up in heaven? I asked, blushing again. Pastries aside, which are plentiful in hell, by the way, I feel you're a good soul without a shadow of a doubt. So when you shake off this mortal coil, off you'll go to paradise. But no cherry Danish. He actually winked at me. How do you know I'm a good soul? I can be bad sometimes. I gave him a simpering smile. Why was I turning into a besotted female? This was getting scary. Helium 3, Fusion 4. We continued to talk back and forth in a flirty, silly way for a couple of hours. I can't account for how the time slipped away, except to say that his trenchant observations about life were so similar to mine, I decided I'd found a kindred spirit. Eddie suggested we go someplace quieter for an early dinner. By then, the manager was giving us a why don't they leave already look, surveying the never-ending line for tables. Good idea. Tables are in short supply here today, and I think we've overstayed our welcome, I said, pointing to the manager, but I was adamant about following him to the restaurant in my own car, just in case. I have a fusion Brazilian-Japanese place in mind, he said. Was he joking? It sounded way too sophisticated for Polar Vortex Central, and wondered why I hadn't heard of it before. Brazil Asia Grill was starkly modern, with an expanse of rosewood fronting the room-length bar. Tables for 2 or 4 were placed discreetly among large potted palm trees. Every table was taken except for a 2-seater placed behind an intricately carved oriental screen. As soon as we were seated, a burly older man with thick black hair and matching mustache welcomed us with a smile and very white teeth. He had the same intense blue eyes that Eddie had. Senor Edward got a big hug, bear hug like family. A tall, slender woman with slightly Asian features ran out from the back and greeted Eddie in similar fashion. She was wearing a full-length white apron. Jess, meet Mia and Gustavo, my friends. Helium 3, Fusion 5, excuse me. Estimado senorita, we welcome you and will prepare a dinner we hope you will love, Gustavo said. They returned to the kitchen. Eddie must have picked up on my fears concerning exotic food. Don't worry, Jess. They'll bring us grilled steak and sushi, which will be the best you've ever tasted. Will you join me for a cocktail? Sakarinha, I'm guessing. It's caipirinha made with sake. I couldn't refuse such a cool invitation, although I wasn't sure about the sushi. What's the story with Mia and Gustavo? Married? Happily so, for several years now. How did you meet them? I asked. Hunger pangs clutched at my stomach in response to the audible sizzle of a thick steak hitting a hot grill. I could imagine the charring and juice flowing from the sound and smell alone. Molecules of smoky goodness hung in the air. We met at work. Are you also a chef? No, I'm a miner. You and Gustavo are miners? The only mining operation in this area is for salt. Are you in the Cayuga mine in Lansing? No, not there. Helium 3, he said. Then nothing. What's that? Oh, wait. Don't they fill party balloons with helium? Yes, but Helium 3 is different. How so? Helium 3, Fusion 6. Right. It's found in the Earth's crust and mantle. It got trapped there when the Earth was formed. You know, the Big Bang. It's also found in the atmosphere and in natural gas. But what's it for? Ah, well, Helium 3 power plants can generate electricity and stop the clock on global warming. That's because Helium 3 is clean compared to fossil fuels. And we'd no longer have to worry about nuclear accidents or radioactive waste disposal. Also, the power plants would be more efficient and have lower operating costs than anything we use now. So where's the mine, in the southern tier? Gustavo was coming with our plates. Not exactly. Ah, here's Gustavo, and Marcus is bringing our drinks. We can talk about this later, he said, with more than a hint of determination. Our drinks tasted of sugar, lime, and herbs with a kick. The steaks were uniformly rare and perfectly charred on the outside. I did pick up on him wanting to change the subject. Eddie's hesitation threw up a red flag, well, maybe just a pink flag. Investigative reporters don't get mayors to quit after uncovering their fondness for kiddie porn sites by playing nice. Fortunate for me, his scorned wife was the snitch, nor did I cut any slack with 2 of our former city councilmen over their voter registration scheme. On the other hand, maybe I was just being my suspicious self, fed up with being lied to by politicians and officials in my daily work. I decided to cut him some slack, for now. Besides, not giving any slack is how I lost most of my former boyfriends. So we engaged in harmless chit-chat. He even hugged me goodbye, chastely, after walking me to my car. His odd but pleasant scent, like citrus, an air full of ozone after a rain, lingered on my coat collar as I drove home.
It seems there's so much detail. It seems odd to just end it like that. That all of a sudden their conversation ends and he just
abrupt.
There's no more. It's just you don't hear the rest of their conversation or anything.
Yeah. What? Yeah. What,
It seems odd.
I think like my major comments about that. I really like this story.
Yeah,
by
I
the
did
way.
too.
This pushes a lot of my buttons. I feel like she's rushing things. Like some of these paragraphs, they're like packed with stuff that don't have to do with each other, and it's like, slow down, take your time, expand it, show us the scene, let us go through it. And the conversation, I felt like I put a comment, when they stopped talking, it was like, oh, keep talking,
Yes, she mentioned we continue with
yeah.
our chit-chat.
Yeah,
Chit-chatted
it
for a
says,
while,
Right.
back and forth.
where she says, we continued to talk back and forth in a flirty, silly way for a couple of hours. It's
Top
like,
of 4.
I want more, I wanted to hear more of that.
Well, actually, that's the one part of the story that
Yes.
interested me was when they started talking about the helium.
Yes.
And that was the one part that I wanted to hear more about. And then it just kind of got dropped. I wanted to know why it started off in one restaurant and then they had to move to another.
Yes. Also curious.
Yeah.
Why do
Well, they were
that?
just having coffee in one place and they were having a meal in the other, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually get where they were. She never actually says where they're going. She says they're going to a chain, which,
Yeah.
you
Gustavo
know,
came
over and he was going to, no, that
Well,
was
that's
the
the
second
Asian.
one.
The second one,
Yeah,
yeah.
Second one.
the first one, she
Starbucks.
just says they're going
Well, she's
to a
alluding to
chain, but
Starbucks.
it's like,
Right.
it could have been a lube chain,
Yes.
I don't know what chain they're going to. It could be Target. So, that I didn't know.
I need a segue. I need, as you had said, take your time, some more information between the first and second paragraphs. Because she's in her house, hunkered
Yep.
down. And then she's getting out
all
there.
of a
She's on the
sudden,
road.
she's on the
On the
road.
road, there's black ice. So
But why
first, let's get
is
to
there
the
such
car.
a big description on the whole road?
I don't know. It
Yeah.
reminds me of Lombard Street in San
I didn't care
Francisco.
about
The
any of that.
switchbacks. I don't know. Maybe it plays into the story later.
I know, I'm
don't
thinking that too, but I still felt,
But don't start the story with that.
right.
I know.
Put it in later.
I know.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked the kind of comic tone of it. The way
I liked
she,
that.
the way she looks at things. I mean, some of her comments, I couldn't tell if it's the character talking or if it's the author talking. And so, some of the things I didn't know.
Well, I had a hard time because I kept thinking, we were talking about this a little bit off camera, who's the alien? And I kept assuming it was her.
No.
I think it's him.
And now that
Tim.
you say that, I think
him.
it's
The
him.
three of you think it. The two of you.
I think it's him.
Okay, let's look at this rationally.
Why? Why start now?
Yeah, you're right. Let's delete the summary.
Yes.
Okay.
Which one is the
Could we
alien?
The guy.
Neither one.
Neither one.
Neither
Neither
one.
one.
They
Really?
seem human. They really.
Yeah,
Neither
they're both
one
very human, you're right.
show any indication of being any. He is a miner. I can accept that. They're going for helium-3, which is
Yeah,
a
but then.
power source, and she's No, a no.
No.
No, I think he could
Let's
be.
talk
because-
helium-3.
Okay.
I mean, he's talking about power plants as if these things exist. There is no such thing as
Right.
a helium-3 power plant.
Well, we don't know when this takes
Well,
place.
yes, when
So
does
I
it
think
take place?
he's the
I wonder.
alien
This is
because
future.
he's working at this power plant that doesn't really exist. Or
And
No,
you
he's
can't-
mining it. He's not at a power plant. He's mining
You
it.
can't
But where's he-
mine helium-3. I mean, now you can't.
Right.
I mean,
But what if this is set in the future?
Yeah, it could
I
be
wondered when
future.
and where the story took place.
Well, that could
I'm
be.
curious. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, she's never heard of helium-3, so the whole point is that maybe he's walking through a time door or something. I mean, I still think he's-
Again, if it weren't If for you the didn't know summary, you'd have no
Oh,
clue. You'd have no
Right.
clue.
Yeah.
It's just a
Oh,
date.
okay.
Right.
That's true.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
On page 2, I liked the phrase in the first paragraph, like breathing in tiny shards of
I
glass.
wrote
thought
that
was
too.
beautiful
I love
writing.
that, yeah.
That's so
In that
accurate.
same
Yeah.
paragraph, I assumed she was an alien. I may be wrong, but I assumed because she said men like full red lips, large brown eyes, prominent cheekbones, thick eyebrows are back. I thought if she's an alien, then she might say it said so in the manual.
Right.
I heard that
Right,
men like
right.
this, it said so in the manual.
Yeah.
I got direction.
She's very homed in on guys, but the first sentence there says, not only was my skin dry and pasty, but I had a less than favorable view of the male race.
Yeah,
Yes.
male's not a race.
Yes.
Male's not a race, but why is
Yes.
she negative? Yeah, why? I don't get
Oh, she's
that.
been
Yeah.
I'm
confused.
personally offended by that.
Oh,
I
heavens.
am-
Uh-oh.
But I
I'm sorry,
think
but
because
you're
she
not a race.
talks,
That's
I think
true,
because
yeah.
she thinks like that, where she says a view of the male race, And then on the next page, or so I was told, when she's describing what she looked like,
Yes.
that's why I kind of thought at the beginning too that she was the alien, because she's
Yes.
seeing people from a distance. So
Well, I assumed
Maybe they're
going
both
in
alien.
that she was the
I know,
alien.
right?
So when she says, cabin fever, after 2 months of hunkering down under the polar vortex, not only was my skin dry and pasty, so I'm thinking like she's an alien and she was in hibernation, because I'm going into it
I
thinking,
kinda thought that
thinking that
too.
she's the alien. Did you?
Yes.
And then after I read, I'm like, oh, she's just talking about a brutal winter, like.
Right.
Yes. Right.
But like you said, if I never had the summary, then I wouldn't have assumed that. Like if I
Right.
didn't know there was an alien involved, I would have been like, oh, it was just winter.
Yeah, I'm torn. I like the way it's written
Yes.
as a relationship story.
Yeah.
I also like the summary. And I'm looking forward to the stuff that goes on in the summary.
Right.
Yes.
They don't seem to be meshing here.
Well, if she's the alien, then the Helium 3 could be what could destroy her. But
she didn't know
she
about
doesn't
it.
seem to.
Oh, right.
She doesn't even know what it is.
No.
Like kryptonite.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kryptonite.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're trying to fill in.
Oh, I like that. And it mentions
probably not going there at all.
An alien marooned on Earth. So I'm wondering how this alien, whoever it is,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
You know,
marooned.
Maybe he's from
Oh,
Mexico.
my.
This is really funny. When I started, when I read through this, when I read through this and got to the end, I realized that this is a lot like a story that I had thought the plot of, but that I never wrote.
Oh.
About an alien who comes to Earth just for a peek because he's heard about this place, and then he runs out of gas, whatever the alien equivalent of gas
Helium
is.
3.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuck till he can come
It's-
back.
Yeah,
Go back.
it's,
I don't think that's an
another,
unusual plot story.
yeah, but anyway, when
Sounds
I got
like
to the end,
fun.
it's like my feeling
Yeah.
was, oh, I'm glad she wrote it.
Depends on
Because,
the
she did a
characters.
much better
But
job than I.
it's
No.
great to see
I don't
things from a
agree.
different point of view. And if she can
Yes.
handle, and again, I don't see aliens in this story yet, but if she can handle that different point of view, I want to see how she sees how an alien would deal with these problems. What if you were falling in love with a very human who could best destroy you? I don't see anybody best destroying anybody. I don't see an alien. I mean, I'm waiting for that to happen. I think it's terrific.
Yeah, but she's an investigative reporter.
Yes.
And she's used to
Right.
outing people.
Yeah.
And if he's
No.
an alien,
I
then-
think she's an alien doing an investigation to find out about humans. Honestly, that's my tack. That's where I'm coming from.
There you go.
I
I like
you know,
it.
with this
You got us
story,
thinking. That's a good thing.
I do agree that I like the voice.
Yeah, I love the voice.
I like the voice.
Yeah.
In terms of the story and how it goes, it starts, I'm a little confused about when it starts off. I don't know why the road goes on for so long. Not much happens inside the restaurant except her thinking about what she looked like, and then he gives her a line, oh, I searched for the most interesting woman in the room and found you.
Yes,
I
too
mean,
schmaltzy.
sorry, yes, and
Let's
two
come
like
back to that.
21-year-old bar. Okay, and then they have, there's nothing that's really going on until they get to the actual restaurant, and then there's a little bit of mystery about what's going on with Helium 3. So I wasn't as taken in. That I just wasn't, even though I thought the voice was okay. I just don't feel like enough's happening to bring me into this. Now, what about that line? You thought, does that work
Okay.
well for you?
Does anybody else think that he can read her mind?
No.
Oh, I never
No,
thought
that never
that.
Okay, how does he pick her out of the restaurant?
Well, maybe she's the only one sitting by herself.
Well, maybe, but, he comes up to her and says, you Jess.
With the corniest line I've ever heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm Eddie, by the way. That was so awkward. Yes.
I changed that.
Uh,
Most
and
beautiful woman, most interesting woman.
That's
And then-
interesting.
then she says to him, how was your drive here? I almost slid off the road a couple of times, which she just did, which just happened to her.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyone's going to do that if the weather's bad.
Well, if they take the same road.
I mean, it's an
But if he's
interesting
reading her
thought.
mind, this is the connection. So he's
Right.
trying
I
to
think it's an I think it's an
parallel.
and
interesting
she is
thought.
thinking, oh, here's my kin,
Right.
Well,
the
guys,
kindred
don't
spirit.
look now, but I see a chip in the back of Ed's head.
My name is
How do
Eddie.
you know this? Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's you.
We also all wanted to know, and I could have written you, I wasn't sure, but when you have these dispersed throughout, Helium 3, Fusion 3, Helium 3, Fusion 4, and I didn't take it out because at first I thought maybe it was a glitch, but then I thought maybe it was there on purpose. I had no idea why. We were talking about that off camera too. My theory was that one of them's the alien, and every time the alien is processing something, maybe I don't know, it stores something in their head, or they're looking for certain information, and when they got it, they click it in their head. Okay, I've got that piece that I need, and then I'm on to the next thing that I need to know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
this
what?
always
I
thought it
don't
was
know what
page
else.
breaks.
I just think it's page
Page
numbers.
breaks,
Yeah.
maybe
Everyone
it
thinks
was.
it's page breaks, and I'm like, are you keeping score? Because because the breaks didn't come at a time that made sense. Like,
Right.
like it was mid scene where you wouldn't break a scene
Right.
off.
I
Well, I
could've
don't
just
understand.
I ignored
bottom- but
Yeah.
okay.
I was
I
like,
ignored
what
it.
is
I
this?
was
I'm like,
just
what is
wondering
this?
about
I'm like,
that.
is she
Baffles-
keeping score?
The one that baffles me most is the bottom of page 5. Yes, but helium-3 is different. How so? Helium-3, fusion 6.
Yeah.
Right, it's found in the
Yeah,
Earth's
to
crust.
take that
So
out,
maybe
yeah.
something's missing.
Right.
Maybe you meant to put in another line than that. I don't know.
Oh, by the way, the Earth was not formed in the Big Bang. So if he is the alien and he's supposed to know all about science, then you want to correct
That's
that.
true.
Okay, again, you're scaring me with all your knowledge about helium.
I'm getting my money's worth out of that physics degree.
Awesome.
Well, you know what we've been doing for the past year is my daughter is reading all about science.
Oh.
So, yeah.
6 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We read all
knows her
the
stuff.
books.
Excellent. Wondering
Right,
how
so-
old she is. She talks about the cheerleaders, the basketball players. Is she so much older than they? Is she in her 20s? Is she in her 50s when they're high school or college kids? I don't know.
There were a couple of times when she prefaced something that was said later. And I find that distracting. It's like the author doesn't trust the...
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
such as.
Okay, well, my pages are messed up because I write in there.
That's okay.
Okay.
This is, he returned with a tray holding a mug and two chairs. This is on page, on mine it's page 3.
Okay.
Pastries. Yeah.
Pastries, yeah,
Okay.
page 3.
Yeah.
I almost
Get it.
slid off the road today. This pastry could be my last. And then delete that because she said, how was your drive here? I almost slid off the road a couple of times.
Uh-huh.
So you don't have to say that in the previous paragraph
you're right.
and then say it again. There's another time.
Huh.
This is the next page, the paragraph that begins with, right under helium-3 fusion 4.
Yes.
Okay, the end of the paragraph. By then, the manager was giving us a, why don't they leave already look, surveying the never-ending lines for tables. Delete that because she says later on,
Tables are
good
in short
idea, tables are in
supply.
short supply here today. I think we've overstayed our welcome.
Yeah.
So
Pointing to the man.
Right.
Yeah.
you don't
Right.
have to do that. And
Right.
there's another one here, which I don't want to take up time during this very valuable speaking session, but I pointed it out. So you just take it.
Unless he
Yes.
is reading her mind and she's thinking it and he's
That is
saying it.
interesting
She's thinking
too.
it, he's saying it.
But she's thinking it and saying it later.
Okay, so then that's different.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just, and it's, you know what I mean.
I know what
Yes.
you're saying.
Is Polar Vortex the name of the town?
That was my
No.
question.
Polar
too.
Vortex
No, I think
Central.
she's just
Polar
being-
Vortex
yeah.
Central.
It's like what
being
we were in last
sarcastic.
winter.
I have a friend who lives in North Dakota, and that's she refers to where she lives as things like that.
Polar
Oh,
vortex.
okay.
Yeah, we had that for a while, just a bitter cold.
Right. It's grim.
Okay.
Okay.
After
That's
2
capital
months of
N.
hunkering down, I want to know with whom, where, and what did she do to pass the time? Can't just give
Well,
me
I
2
think
months of hunkering down.
I assumed that it was alone and she was.
Sounds like Clue.
She
Alone
was
in the
computer
ballroom?
dating. Computer dating.
With a knife?
Computer,
Up in the
yeah.
mountains. She
It's
lives
just
up.
computer dating. Ah,
She
yep.
lives at a high altitude
Yeah.
because she has to go down that road.
There was a mention of Lansing. There was a
Lansing,
mention of
that's right.
Lansing.
Yep.
I realized as we
There
read.
was.
You know what? You might be right.
Yeah.
Oh, I am. Oh, I do.
There were some funny lines in this. I mean,
Yeah.
like raising a red flag. Oh, maybe a pink
that
pink
one,
flag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, the
Yeah.
writing is wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Nice
it really
writing.
flows. It was,
Yeah.
there was no clutter in this writing.
Yeah.
Yes.
This flowed right through. It was very nice.
Well, like I said at the beginning, I wanted to even
Slow
slow down
down.
a little
Yeah.
more and expand a little on
Yes.
these things.
And more conversation. We really want to have
Yeah.
interchange
Yeah.
instead of mention
Yeah.
chit-chat.
Because the dialogue.
Right.
That's where
Yeah.
people come out when
That's
they're
right.
talking, not by
Right.
Yeah.
telling about talking.
Right.
Yes.
Don't summarize it.
Yes.
Give
Or
it to
just
us.
saying, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Yes,
need a lot more
eliminate
than
that. Yeah.
It was the whole Helium-3 when they just started to get into that you're getting a conversation going and then it ends after a paragraph.
Right.
Yes.
Is there anything else we want to bring
It's
up
good
here?
when
No.
it leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, it's, I think there's a wonderful start. The divergence between the summary and the reality of what went on, I want to hear, the summary was terrific. I was looking forward to really bizarre things happening.
Yeah.
Right now, we have 2 people on a date,
Right.
the end.
Right. And to
Yeah,
me
but they're
it's-
two interesting people.
They are,
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yes.
not complaining about it,
Yeah.
sure.
well,
How is this a literary novel?
Yeah,
I
Maybe
don't know.
I don't think it
Yeah.
is.
I
Yeah.
think science
Don't know if
fiction.
the-
A
Yeah.
lot of,
They have
lot of
all the
people-
authors
yeah.
labeled correctly. That's
Yeah.
They
great.
do. They don't. No, people
So-
don't always know.
That means there's no ending,
No action.
no action at all.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should start voting who would read again, or if we shouldn't do that.
I would keep reading.
Oh, yeah.
If the summary
think
were
I
on
would.
Oh, I
the
would.
inside dust jacket, yes, absolutely. I'd pick it up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked.
I would
I
for
liked
this.
her. I would
I'm
spend time with
Yes,
her.
in that, knowing the context.
I,
Yes.
To me, if there was a little, I think if there was more substance to what they were talking about, then I would read more.
Yes.
That's
She
my.
reels you in,
That's my.
yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Good start,
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Okay, Marilyn, thank you very much for submitting your work to us. And we hope our comments today helped you. Thank you, everyone else, for joining us on this episode of Writers Infusion. We will see you next time. Keep writing.